is planning to be a candidate.
Yeah.
Okay, so,
Yeah, you go first.
I'm Eric McGuire. I've lived in this area for 30 years. Taught Beaverton schools for 30 years. I retired last year. And now I work at Centennial Middle School in Gresham. And I'm running for Zone 2 against Karen Price.
For school board.
School board. Sorry,
Or both school board.
I'm a new candidate.
quick question.
Yeah.
Can you give a general geographic area of where zone?
I live in the Westview Fence. So Westview down to, I don't know how far it goes down 185. And then all the way over just before you get to store.
Okay, and if you brought any materials to share tonight, you can set them on the chair just right by the door and folks can pick them up. Thank you very much. Appreciate your coming.
Hi, everybody. My name is Karen Stark, so I'm not his opponent. And I am running for Zone 1. This is the southwest part of the district. And I am a mom. I've got 4 kids in the district right now, and I'm a former educator. And I'm really excited to bring that parent/educator voice to the school board. I think that our kids deserve the very, very best, and the way we get them the very best is by partnering with people who know students really, really well, and that's parents and educators. And so I'm excited to be here. Thanks for the chance to introduce myself.
And you find her at Karen, yes, Karen for BSD.
Oh, yeah, so my website is stark4bsd.com, and I do have some flyers over here. Thanks.
So, one of the things that some people may not realize is that with the school board, no matter what zone you live in, you vote for all candidates.
Yes,
In
please
all
vote for
zones.
us.
So it's a really
Thank you.
difficult process to go through because you have to cover a huge area.
Yeah, we each need 21,000 people to vote for us. So it's a big task, and the election is on May 20th. Ballots will come out first week of May, and then find the ballot box to drop them in by May 20th.
Who currently is in the
Susan Greenberg, and she's done. She's 7 now.
So yours is an open seat.
That's right.
Eric's is, but yeah, it's an incumbent seat. I was just, sorry. They're both the Beaverton Education Association endorsed candidates for those zones, which means that they're the teachers and the staff members there are backing the seat. And then Eric, your website is
McGuire for BSC.
May I ask you a quick question? How long have you lived in Beaverton School District area?
Since this zone 95.
Thank you.
and you rate all
My kids have gone
all
through
3 kids.
the school, THRP, and I have a senior at Westview right now. And a junior at Westview, and then a 21-year-old that was so.
And the same question for you.
I have lived here for 5 years. So the whole time my kids have been in school also, and they're much younger. My husband's family's been here a lot longer. They're the Starks of Stark Back.
Excellent.
And what got you involved?
Oh, well, about a year ago, we learned that the school district was planning on closing a few schools kind of on the sly. And also the teachers were bargaining. And as a teacher/educator, I recognize that we want the same things, right? Teachers and parents both want small class sizes. We both want adequate staffing for our kiddos. And so I was organizing with parents and educators and community members to help everyone see that so that they could have the support they needed to get a wonderful contract for better learning conditions for.
Great. Well, thank you very much. We appreciate your coming. You're absolutely welcome to stay and hear the very interesting presentation from the Dalton Hills Park and Recreation.
Thank you.
And get our,
Are we able to ask more questions or is that?
well, we can, we can,
I'm happy to stick around
okay.
and answer questions.
I think if there's a website, you could probably also contact them.
Is there a quick question?
Yeah.
I did bring a flyer, there are several forums coming up, and there's a flyer on the scoreboard for one of them.
We just,
All your questions.
we just wanted to be able to include the, fire and rescue, team before he had to leave. So. All right. Okay, thank you. Yeah, that was, very, very helpful. Appreciate that. And we do appreciate you coming out. So are you,
Well, Kelly can go first, and then they have more things to do.
okay?
My name's Sergeant Vincent Kurzella. Informally, Vince is my name, who I've been going by my whole life. I've been working for Washington County for almost 9 years now. Prior to this, I was in the military and in the Army Station, kind of brought me over. It's already the Northwest area. So as I'm a newer sergeant, recently got promoted, and now sergeants are attending the CPO meetings. Used to be a deputy, and background as a deputy, I was going to CPO meetings, and now I'm a sergeant on the CPO meetings, and I like them. Before COVID happened, it was a lot different because it was like a room like it is now, and I had gone to these, and it's like 2 people and videos over screen, so I appreciate the opportunity to talk to them first. It's just I like that more face-to-face stuff. A couple reminders for you guys. Travel. There's a list here, and I added a couple things that, in my experience, I know to be issues. If you're traveling, have someone that you know watch your house. That being said, I have Ring cameras on my house. They're awesome. That brand, a lot of good brands out there. They're not too expensive. You can get them wireless too. Awesome. Those cameras help not only protect your guys' house, but also if something happens next door or something, you know, the bank uses evidence to the big crime. So the cameras are awesome. Secure your stuff. Most times the crime, people often ask, like, what can I do to not be a victim? What's the best way to not be a victim? I'm telling you right now, people who are victims the most of the people, they're crimes of opportunity. So typically the vehicle break-ins are people walking on the street and checking cameras. Very rarely is someone smashing a window to get in something. So just please, you guys look great to that side of town. Just make sure your doors are locked. I'm guilty of it sometimes, back door unlocked. Have your doors locked. Crimes of opportunity. Same with vehicle doors. If you're going to the airport, there was one, I took a case a couple of years ago, it was actually in this area. And this person had gone to the airport and they parked in the, it's like the parking where you pay, you park in that big parking lot, you can pay and then leave it there for, yeah, long term. Right, and they left their, yeah, they left their vehicle unlocked, and a person went into their vehicle, saw their registration, insurance, everything, and they left their garage door open. And they know when you're parking that long-term parking, that you're gonna be gone for a while. So this thief took the garage door opener, got the address, and went to that person's house and burglarized their house. So just anywhere you go, always have your doors locked. That being said, what else we got on here? Windows too. Well, it's still cold out. When if you guys are warming up your vehicles in the morning, to let the heater get going and stuff, just try to do it in a way like to have your door locked. A lot of these stolen vehicles are early morning stolen vehicles where people call steamers, where the people are letting their vehicle warm up and they're unlocked, and someone can literally just hop right in and take off of it. That's a very commonly stolen vehicle that is. Any unneeded or expired medication, you guys have those? I think Walgreens would take it. I believe if you Google like Beaverton, Portland area, medication drop off, they'll be able to dispose of that for you. I know they'll get your place close by. Bicycle safety, helmets, especially for kiddos, make sure you read hand signals and stop at stop signs. Sometimes when we mix up a vehicle and cars, it's easy to just kind of disregard those traffic signals, but I went to a T-bone accidents where the cyclist just continues on, assuming all vehicles are going to stop. So treat it as if you're driving a motor vehicle, obey traffic law. Other than that, I don't have too much else, but I'm happy to take any questions.
There's also, I placed some of these calls for service, if you want to pick these up on your way out, and it just has some information about.
I asked them now.
Oh, you did? Okay, thank you, appreciate it.
Any particular increase in a kind of in crime in any particular area or something new?
Not necessarily, it's pretty steady, summer's gonna heat up always, everywhere in town. A low is like the biggest hotspot, you guys got a good community up here, not too many issues, it's mostly that nighttime, the most I'd say we get in this area is the nighttime car problem. Where there's people walking up the street, literally checking the parking complexes, I mean, that's a huge target, ton of vehicles in small locations. And they just go check door handles. So it's trying not to keep valuables in your car. But yeah, summer's out, summer's coming and there's gonna be multiple out generally. As far as, oh, another thing I want to talk about. If Sergeant Paracella or any other sergeant, someone's calling you and asking you to send money because you have a warrant, don't send money. Please. We're never gonna call you and say, hey, you sent us money via phone because you missed a order, whatever it is. That's really common these days. One of our, public information officer, Huey, actually got a phone call, and I'll just look up an agency who's in the agency, pick random name, he's like, hey, I'm so-and-so, and they called Huey, Deputy Huey, saying they were Deputy Huey. So we went along with it, said, hey, it's Deputy Huey. It's like, and yeah, it was something like that.
Yeah.
But like I said, we're never gonna call you, and if you wanna verify that it's us, like, if we call you for something else, you can call our sheriff's office, records department, or anonymous dispatch, and they can verify that, but like I said, if it's someone asking for money on the phones, it's gonna be through the court, if anything like that, or they're gonna send you something in the mail, they're not gonna ask for money over the phone. Other than that,
No, I think actually before you said that, I was gonna bring that up because we just shared a social media post, I think, about a week or two ago about that. For missing jury duty or some important like law enforcement information, and that's something that's never gonna end, no matter the time of year. It's always scammers get really smart with technology, especially too, and we hit a lot of vulnerable people. So that's something to look at. Just watch out, even if you know friends and family that are a little bit more vulnerable, just remind them, don't pick up the phone. Or I know like my mother-in-law does that, and she'll pick up the phone and I'm like, what are you doing? Just, if you don't know the phone number, just ignore it, if it's important, they'll be on the message. But no, we hit it on, but I also wanted to share, I just have a couple things to share. We have a power curve event. I'm not sure if it's full, but it's a self-defense course for women 14 and up. Like I said, I don't know if it's full yet, but if you go onto the sheriff's office website, it should show up on there if you just Google sheriff's office power curve, and it'll be on April 26th, and it's an all-day event. If you missed that one, we also have another one in June, and then on the website, it will have all the dates available. And then so
what is it?
it's a self-defense course for women, hands-on and everything. I've done it before. It was many years ago. It was fun. And also I actually coordinate the Washington County Canine Trials every year, and we're gonna be hosting it again at the Hillsborough Stadium. So I left some cards over there. If you're available, please join us. It's our biggest event that we have. I do recommend carpooling just because they're building a new house stadium. So some of the parking went away just in the meantime while they're building the stadium, but.
Promotion
all from me.
to
I got one thing. If you guys have issues, whether it's parking or it's problem area where, people setting up tents, whatever it might be, anything small, whatever. Please, I was at a CPO meeting last week and, a lady came in and she was addressing her concerns and she's like, I don't want, I don't want to bother you guys, I don't want to bother you. When there's a lot of calls for service generated or something, it gets put on the lieutenant's radar, the lieutenant hires me, and then they'll make a project out of it, depending on what the situation is. So please, if there's suspicious people, something going on that it's just please call us, like, sounds like cliche to say that no call too small, realistically. If it's just someone that, looks like they need someone in a vehicle that looks suspicious, and like, they're up to no good, be free to call, we can just merely go up to them and chat. Hey, they're good, someone was concerned, want to make sure you're okay. Police face to face, and if they were up to no good, it's like, hey, okay, the police are on all that, stuff like that, please call us.
And those are 911 calls, right?
Well,
Not-
sure, yeah, if it's an emergency, absolutely, but non-emergency. And I'll leave a card that has a rating.
Does everybody know the non-emergency number? They should probably put it on their phone. They don't. You do. It's 503-629-0111.
And if you Google Washington County, like it first.
Yeah. That's the number.
Also, one last thing, if you're working and you have laptops and stuff in your car, or you travel with a lot of expensive stuff, write the serial number down on it. Because if that's stolen, and let's say it's brought to Oklahoma somewhere, the thief takes it to Oklahoma, police run it, catch this guy and run it, this laptop looks weird, run the serial number on it, it'll pop up, and it'll have all your information in our national police database. So try to get the serial number on valuable stuff that you guys do.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
Of course.
So, the topic around community relations has come up multiple times with here, and, we've asked questions about it. If you-
Washington Sheriff's Office, absolutely.
I'm just curious, I know that there's been like community events that have happened, and maybe there's that, or something like that. Come to chat or get coffee.
Yeah, coffee.
We have that's where we love to have events to meet with the public, and a lot of times we are out at events that we get invited.
How are you all measuring the success of that? And are there other creative ways? Right.
I can answer, I work in public affairs and we do community engagement. So I don't know if we've really come up with a matrix or anything like that yet, but we're always out and about. We try to be out if our team is very small. So we have volunteers, and then when we're not there, we also have other volunteers that attend these events. And we also usually have somebody that's in uniform, whether it be from the jail or patrol, attend these events. Like, I'll give you an example, in a couple of weeks, I believe we'll be there. But like, there's Dia de los Niños and Cornelius, so we try to be a part of the community if we can. You know, sometimes it just depends if they invite us or don't invite us, but we also, we try very hard to be a part of the community and be at events if we can. Again, our team is very small, but we also have volunteers. And we don't have to attend those meetings or the events all the time. Sometimes they'll want like a patrol car or a motor, special teams to come out. So we do try to get out there. And we also provide information on social media as well. So we engage with the public as much as we can through virtual means and in person, similar to this or community events.
So, neighbors night out, that happens.
National Night Out,
Yeah,
that's in August.
when that happens in August, how far in advance does the neighborhood need to reach out to the sheriff's office?
If you have something right now, you can send it to me. Do you have Megan's email address?
Okay,
Yeah, send it to Megan.
Okay.
Megan's gonna actually be taking it off.
okay, great, thank you. Let's talk about the students.
I just want to say thanks. I had to make a call, last week. There was a guy screaming at people and profanities and stuff in Safeway parking lot. And you guys came right out, took the information, and we were able to get the, to follow him nicely and get the mental health, unit out for him.
And I'll say that you guys in this area are very well taken care of. Like, you guys got the most deputies as far as districts go. And like the top two districts, we have the most deputies per capita, I would say, like most per. And I will say, I've been working at this agency, picking the benefit from 2020 at this agency. And it's the people that support us that personally, like, just the people come up, shake your hand, thanks for your service. It never slowed down. And as far as how we measure it, I haven't seen a decrease in the support that this community does. And this job in general, it's been very difficult, but it's on coming back. 2020, 2022 was very difficult for multiple reasons, but our number of applicants has almost doubled in the last few years. It was tough. When I first applied for this job, I was kind of cool with about 700 people. So now, and throughout like the last 4 years, that pool shrunk to about 70, 60 compared to 700 people. That's slowly going up because we provide good service. And just know that, like, when you're sitting on a call for a long time, it's like, why are they doing? we're on a priority service, so just know that when that call comes in the queue for us, we have to take it. And if you're not, no one's available, just not take it, have to take it, so know that if there is a wave coming on that, it's because we're on a domestic, or we're on that, we press something priority wise as an emergency or something, a higher priority than. Obviously, your guys' call is priority, but just know that we're here and we're getting assigned, allocated all these ways, correctly, and it's getting better.
We are hiring.
Hiring. We are hiring.
You know anybody.
So,
Excellent. Well, thank you very much. And you're welcome to stick around for a few minutes in case people come up with another question, but we recognize that you're working. So,
am I? Okay. That didn't pay me worse.
You're like, I'll take the CPO meeting tonight.
So do you have some time?
Yes, sure. So, some quite a few new faces from the last time we were here. So I'm Jeff, a lieutenant here at the station. I've been with TBFNR for 23 years. So I know you guys are on the timeline. I'm on that speaker, so I want to just try to keep it as brief as I can. As we're emerging out of winter, we have to start thinking about wildfire season. Unfortunately, you know, that's right around the corner. So I printed out some flyers for you guys. One is just basically defensible space, kind of like the FAQs as far as preparing your home if you have acreage, if you live in a place where you could be with risk for wildfire. You've all heard the level 1, level 2, level 3. You know, you hear it during the summer. There's another FAQ about what that means. So these are up here. If anybody who doesn't know about TBFNR, I'm printing off some fact sheets. So you can just about the district, the numbers that we had last year. I think I presented this last time for CPO7, but for the new faces, here's a fact sheet. Time change. Time change just happened. We strongly recommend checking your smoke detector batteries. That's kind of like one of the every time the clocks switch, make sure you're checking the smoke detector batteries. Till whatever they do with the time change, that's kind of one of those things that we benchmark kind of encourage. Smoke detectors. The sergeant was talking about windows. Unfortunately, we have kids falling out of windows every year. And it's just mindful as we start to open up our windows and such. You have little ones around, be cognizant of the opening. There's devices that you can buy to kind of limit how far window will open. So, what else? I had something else. Anybody, this construction here has been long time.
Yes.
Long time. And I don't know if we have anybody from Park or road here tonight that's talking about it, but it's getting better, but then they're going to shut this one down here. So for us, we're trying to get through the construction zone as best as we can, but it's been challenging for us as well because we have response times to meet. So that's it. I'm going to keep it short for tonight. Does anybody have any questions? Questions? Really? Tom, you gotta have a question.
I have a question.
Yes.
What's maybe everybody else knows this already, but what is the most common, like reason like a house fire starts?
Depends on the time of year.
In this time of year?
Spring, well, we just got out of obviously winter, so heating, big port heaters, you know, heating through the winter, that's a big one, but summertime. Barbecues, cooking. That just spurred one thing, and I know I say each time, but it just happened last week. If you please know where your water shut off is for your home. We just some family left for vacation, and I had to make the phone call because the water was pouring out the front door. They had a pipe break while they were gone. So just make sure you know where I shut. Maybe it's because but I shut my water off every time I go on vacation. Just because I don't want to be getting that phone call. Anyways. Wow. That's it for me. It's been busy. I'll let you continue. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yep.
So I think we have Lindsay from the TV Water.
Can you hear me okay?
Can't hear you.
I can't hear you. Now, can you hear me? No?
You can just.
Yes.
Say something.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yay. Okay, well, speaking of water, I'm from Twelton Valley Water District, and we serve over 222,000 customers drinking water in unincorporated Washington County, which includes a portion of residents and businesses in CPO7. So glad to be here tonight. Just a quick couple of updates. We are going to be starting a water main replacement project in CPO7's area on Northwest Dorena Street in early summer. We're going to be upgrading the 6-inch main that's under Dorena. It was installed in 1969, so I like to call it a mature pipe. It's a mature pipe. And we're going to be upgrading it to an 8-inch pipe. So that's coming again early summer, and we'll be back to provide more information about that closer to when we start that project. Another thing we have is a virtual forum. We call it our Talking Water Virtual Forum series. It's going to be on Wednesday, May 14th from 12 noon to 1 p.m. And it's going to be about spring irrigation, on how to prepare, how to be water efficient. And if you're unable to make it to that virtual forum, we do record it and it's on our YouTube channel after. And then just one more quick efficiency tip for April. As you know, the weather is warming up. We're serving about 22 million gallons of water to customers each day. So we're starting to see that trend up. We want to encourage you just to be cautious about watering your lawns. Your lawns don't need to be watered every day. With our climate, we just aim at probably about a ½ inch of water every 7 days to keep your grass watered and green. So just a quick tip there, and that's all I have.
Any questions? Oh, there's a question.
So we've been reading a lot about clean water services and their management. Can you stress that you are not associated with clean water services other than through the billing?
Right. We've been getting that question a lot. So Clean Water Services, they are responsible for sanitary sewer and stormwater, and Twelton Valley Water District is responsible for water. So we're separate agencies, and we do partner on the utility/water bill. So we bill together, but that's kind of where our crossover ends. We are again separate agencies.
So no trips to Hawaii for you?
No, not for me. No.
And any other questions? Okay, well, thank you very much.
Of course, thank you.
Okay,
Another question.
oh, you had a question?
Yes, but it's not related to what Lindsay just said, but, seeing as, the Washington County Board is the same as the Clean Water Service Board, I would like to see, some representatives from that board participate in a future CPO meeting to provide more information.
Let's talk about that at steering committee.
Yeah, I think some of the board members have actually made statements indicating that they were interested in finding out what's happening with that. And
There was a board meeting for Clean Water Services that the county commissioners participated in. And I'll send you the link to that because they all made statements, and it sounds like they're going to be pushing for some sort of audit. The county auditor cannot audit Clean Water Services. There were a lot of questions for me, so.
Yep, good. And we didn't want to have side conversations going on here, so does everybody understand what that topic was about? So.
But I don't need to know.
Looking good.
Okay, yeah.
You can say quickly.
It's a good question.
Mark Rapid,
He's on mute.
can you unmute yourself?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, thank you.
Hello, this is Mark Bradley speaking. I just want to inform you about a dangerous intersections in Raleigh Hills that meets Beaverton Hazel Highway and Olsen and Shrewsbury. Are there any plans to relocate the intersections?
That's actually outside our CPO.
And that,
So there's probably better places to ask that question.
oh, and another terrible intersection is Hunter A. Fifth Baseline. And we need to build the light rail bridges for safety concerns, because people get frustrated in that area. Gotta save 5 cent east congestions, and overcrossing bridges is important. Is there a timeline when that will happen?
Now, if I heard you right, you're talking about the 185th and Baseline intersection?
And the plan B is an AI smart called train pumps and stop signs.
Well, if we're talking about 185th and Baseline, we've got time later in the meeting to discuss that. As
Right.
part of the Metro's regional flexible funding program that is getting ranked right now, so.
Are there construction plans on 185th and Baseline?
This is very early, and we had a speaker in March who described the process, and so the CPO is very interested in seeing how we can help move that along, so that maybe some improvements to that intersection happen. So, but a very good question, though. I think a lot of people would agree that with more traffic congestion and road construction becomes a big challenge.
It is quite a challenge,
It is.
because with too many apartments and houses, was supposed to be built in 1997.
Okay.
So you having a good day so far.
I hope you're having a good night so far, and that we're communicating well. So if any of your questions don't get answered, you can always send us an email.
I gave you 2 questions on there. We gotta make the intersection safe for the reliabilities.
Yep. Plan B, Baseline temporary max train signals. Okay.
Are there plans with an AI smart protections?
I don't know of any plans that are in the process right now. Mostly it's the cost of making those changes. But stick with us, because that's going to be a topic later in the evening. And we would enjoy your input on that.
It is challenging for some TriMet bus drivers on 52 and 88 that go through terrible intersections.
Yep. We will not disagree with you on those. So,
Yeah, of course.
okay, could we hear we have one more service provider
Perfect.
from the Quality Hills and Park and Recreation. So, and if you would like to just have a seat up here, or are you going to participate in the next part of the presentation?
No, I'll pass it to Greg after our general.
Water's healthy.
So to start, my name is Chelsea. I'm with THRP. I'm working community engagement. We have several updates for the month of April that I'm happy to share. To start, our summer registration is open for both in-district and out-of-district residents. That just opened up this weekend. We also have summer hiring ongoing. We have several great opportunities available with on-the-job training available, no experience necessary, and lots of different departments. You can apply on our website. We are, THPRD is also looking for volunteer coaches to support our middle school track teams. And there's several volunteer opportunities for those positions that you can find on our website under the volunteer section. For events coming up, this Saturday, we have Marhaba, the Arab celebration, and this event is open to all and is to honor the Arab community and to celebrate National Arab American Heritage Month. There will be traditional music, vendors, food, and other activities there. And then coming up on April 29th, on a Tuesday from 5:30 to 7:30 p.m., we have Dia de los Niños and Dia de los Libros, Children's Day and Book Day. And this is a free event that is celebrating kids, and we'll have fun craft activities and reading. And the event is really aimed at promoting literacy and cultural diversity among children. In the month of April, on Thursdays, THPRD will also be hosting homeschooled STEM classes. For more information about those, you can contact our Garden Home Rec Center or look on our website as well. Also this weekend, on April 19th, we have the Spring Egg Hunt. This will be at Cedar Hills Rec Center from 10 a.m. to 11:15. And for sport and other recreation activities, we have a new elementary track club that recently opened at the beginning of the month that will run through May 17th. It's open for grades 3 through 5. You can learn more on our website and register there, and it's through the Cedar Hills Rec Center. Also, another activity that opened up this month is 2 of the 6 PCC Brock Creek tennis courts will be available for the public to reserve from Monday through Thursday from 5 to 9:30, and then also hours on Sunday as well. And some additional locations will be added in May. Another activity that we have going on that's ramping up this month is adult softball leagues are getting started, as well as our spring volleyball league as well. And for more nature and trails oriented update, staff is replacing the bridge decking at Elizabeth Meadows Wetland Bridge this month. And at Lawani Heartwoods, 2 new benches were recently installed along the trails in the forest. And lastly, I wanted to call out one volunteer update as my last update, which is at the Bluffs Park this weekend from 9 to 11:30 to help restore natural areas. And that covers the general updates.
There's a lot of things happening.
Yes. Can I help with any questions?
What is the young, when someone accounts for volunteers, what is the youngest age? You know, roughly?
For the track and field coach volunteers?
No, the one before that, the first one.
We have.
Was that the summer hiring?
So, yes, it's someone.
We have hiring opportunities. It ranges. There's a lot of opportunities for youth and adults. It depends on the position.
But how young can you be?
What is the youngest?
How old is yours?
I'm hoping old enough. 13.
14.
13.
It really varies based on the position, but the age requirement will be listed on the website if there is.
Okay.
The junior lifer program's really cool. Well, yeah, people get, yeah, think that gets the training for free in order to learn how to be a lifeguard and they are like first in line to become a lifeguard.
Anything with cookies?
Melissa is a THPRD board member. Not related to Clean Water Services.
I got my first job at THRP when I was 15.
But it does seem like there's a lot of good opportunities for kids to sort of test the waters, get a summer job, do some things where they can learn some skills. So that's nice.
Yeah, literally test the waters and aquatics, and then several other opportunities if they're not quite at the job age yet, there's leadership opportunities to help ramp them up for that position when they do become age.
Are the class times typically scheduled just based on like instructor availability, or are there any surveys to kind of help guide classes?
The general recreation activity programs.
Just like for example, pickleball, tennis. For the most part, the classes happen like I'm just curious how, like, I imagine it's based on like instructor. That's what.
Well, I know some are based on demand, how exactly the class schedules are arranged. They're typically arranged, the program activity books come out a few months.
Does staff even look at things like parking, like at HMG especially? Like what does it mean to have all the classes at 5 o'clock? Yeah, the parking. So lots of things would be like.
But it's on bus fine. Why are people driving their cars?
That's a great point.
Carry around all their gear. Okay, any other questions? All right.
Can I highlight something just real fast? Just that it is budget season. This was my weekend. And I am so proud. This is a testament to our values. And there's some really good stuff in here. If you've never navigated a budget binder, I'm happy to show you how. It's covered in little hearts and sticky tabs as I go through it and have lots of questions with staff. But I've been on the board for 8 years and this is just, it's a beautiful gift to our community, so.
I was gonna ask you, how long have you been, if you were still on the board? I mean,
Yeah, 8
we're
years.
on it, but we go way back, by the way. So I was happy to see those of you been here.
Well, thank you. I think THPRD is it's nice to know that is a resource that we have in this community in a variety of different places. Which segues, I think, very well into
Tanya's gonna share his presentation.
our key presentation tonight is Greg Krieger.
That's right.
Excellent. And you can state your title.
Okay.
And just begin your presentation.
Sure. Yeah, and I'm thinking it's better if I sit, is that correct?
I think if you can talk with us, if you feel like standing, that's fine. However you're most comfortable. But the presentation will be up there. Oh, okay.
I'll start with a little intro before that comes up. So my name's Greg Krieger. I worked for the Walton Hills Park and Recreation District for over 15 years now. Oh, there's the presentation. All right, great. So I'm the Nature and Trails Supervisor. I work with the Nature and Trails group. We provide stewardship over 150 natural areas. We manage the regional trails throughout the Beaverton area. So a lot of what we're doing is stewardship for habitat restoration, for wildlife habitat. We're doing that so that the public can go to the sites and see wildlife and be in nature. We're educating the public and we're providing the right amount of access to these sites, considering the balance between preserving natural areas, but also providing access to nature. So this first picture, I threw this up here because this is our group, and I was gonna say, I'm not in this, I am in this picture. So, so this is us. We're, how many? We're 9 full-time staff, usually 2 to 3 part-time staff, and we're managing all of these areas. It's about 1,700 acres. That includes the 2 nature parks. So it's 12th Hills Nature Park, Cooper Mountain Nature Park. Again, a lot of the regional trails, West Side Regional Trail, Rock Creek Trail, Bano Creek Trail, a lot of the slightly smaller trails throughout the district as well. I think we can probably go to the next slide. That's us, that last picture, that was us at Cooper Mountain. So any opportunity we can have to take a group picture, we do it, and that's just one of them. So that was our most recent one. It's kind of hard to see, but on the right, that shows the district and all of the park sites, and the sites that are in green, those are sites that the Nature and Trails group manages. The sites in gold are the ones that are managed by the Park Maintenance Department, a group that we work with closely. And then the sites that are pink are sites that we manage with the Park Maintenance Department. So there might be a site where there is some natural area, some developed park, and we split up responsibility at those sites. So we are all over the district. And yeah, again, our main tasks are natural area stewardship, maintenance, providing access, and creating wildlife habitat for animals and for people that view wildlife. And I see I covered some of what's in this slide already, so we can probably go to the next slide there. Okay, so I was asked to come today and talk about a few topics. So I'm gonna cover them broadly, and then I want to make sure that there's time at the end so that if people have any questions, we can cover those. So the first topic that I was asked to cover was beaver activity and stormwater management. So the photo on the left, that is a real live beaver. That's from a trail camera, basically motion activated. And so beaver, they are basically everywhere in the district. If there's water, there are beaver, generally speaking. And most of the time, that's a good thing. Beaver provide habitat for a whole host of wildlife. They are habitat creators. They are known as a keystone species because they are the key to providing habitat for a lot of different wildlife. So like I said, there are beaver pretty much everywhere in Beaverton. When I first started working for the park district, there were beaver around. Their numbers have definitely increased in the last 15 years. I think that can be attributed to a lot of factors. We've gone from a lot more rural of a community to a lot more urban, suburban of a community, and there's less folks trying to protect their orchards. And some of it's just a trend, generally speaking, where beaver were once pretty limited in their number and in their range. And just in the past, I'd say handful of decades, there's now there's a lot more protection for beaver, and they've expanded to pretty much any type of suitable habitat they're in. They're probably in some habitats that folks don't consider suitable, like culverts and other infrastructure like that, but they are oftentimes there. Sure, yeah.
Repeat the question, please.
The question is there such a thing as too many beaver?
Yes.
Yeah, yeah, that's a great question. I mean, beaver themselves, they're like most animals, they can go through kind of boom bust cycles. They'll inhabit a site, they'll eat all their preferred foods, and then they'll say, okay, it's time for us to move on. So they're somewhat self-regulated in that way if you think about an individual site. But broadly speaking, say like the Park District region, the greater Beaverton region, the trend is that they have increased in number. I think if there were too many beaver, like not enough food, then their numbers would naturally dip. So depends who you ask, but to a wildlife lover, to somebody who's willing to accept a certain amount of inconvenience, based on their dams and some of the potential flooding. I would say a cautious no to that answer, or to that question. All right, so trends in beaver activity, that's essentially it. They're increasing. The middle picture there is just one of our natural areas. I can't see exactly which stream that is, but that's essentially what they do. They go into a creek system. They'll find a spot where a lot of their preferred foods are. They'll build a dam so that they have better access to that food. They're safer in the water than they are on land, and they want to be able to swim to their favorite food. And then the photo on the right, that actually is a photo of Commonwealth Lake. Now, this isn't necessarily just beaver related. This is a high rain event. And that speaks a little bit more to the stormwater management piece here. So I'll transition over to that in a moment. So beaver management, the way the park district manages beaver is we're generally hands off. Our practice is not to remove beaver. It's not to remove their dams. There are situations where we will try to alter a dam to help increase the flow, but those situations are more the exception rather than the rule. What we found over the years is that beaver, this is their space. They're better at it than we are, and we don't tend to win in the end. So for example, if we were to go to a location where there's a dam and try to remove it, well, they have time. They're up late, and they will oftentimes win in the end. The question.
You're aware that the Interpreting Center has removed several dams that are within its jurisdiction.
Yeah, so
Recently.
There are times where dams get removed, and my understanding is that had to do with some drainage from the field, some issues around that. So yes, there are times where the park district will attempt to alter dams, and not our general practice though. And
Well, and the impoundment was damaging private property adjacent to THPRD property.
Okay, maybe let's come back to that in a moment. I'm not exactly certain where that is, but
Pioneer Road.
Okay, so east of the rec complex.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Immediately east of the complex.
Yeah. So there's a drainage. It's essentially a stormwater conveyance that runs adjacent to is that Pioneer Road that runs east-west? Okay. Yeah, so there's a conveyance that runs east-west through that area. There are dams sometimes in that conveyance, sometimes they're downstream on the rec complex. There's also a water quality facility, a constructed water quality facility adjacent to a couple homes on that strip, which I believe have the address of Blaze Terrace as opposed to Pioneer Road. Yeah, so my understanding is that there has been some issues there in terms of water and where it goes exactly in that specific location. Yeah.
Recently is vague, in February. There was a big rainstorm.
Yeah.
End of February, early March, that the failure to accept the water meant it backed up and flooded some of the lands on Blaze Terrace beyond, obviously beyond the THPRD boundary there, and reached the point of filling the culvert under the intersection of 150th and Pioneer to beyond its capacity.
Yeah, so that's a really good point. I wasn't familiar with all of those details, but so speaking to the photo on the right, there are times where there's enough water coming through the system where it means there could be beaver dams, there could not be beaver dams, but if that water is high downstream, it's gonna go where it's gonna go because water really only has one rule, and that's essentially gravity. So yeah, unfortunately, it is a thing that we see from time to time. The photo here, Commonwealth Lake, there have been beaver dams there in the past. There might be currently, but essentially this photo on the right is meant to illustrate that when water comes, oftentimes if it's enough water, it's going to go where it wants to go. That may have been the case in February. It's always possible that downstream obstructions, whether they be log jams or beaver dams, can contribute to that. I think it's hard to know at certain times. You'd have to see what the water level is past those dams at the same time. But yeah, the way generally speaking that Oregon water law works is that if water comes naturally onto an adjacent property, then that water has to be accepted by the adjacent property. So now natural would count something like a beaver dam. It would count something like a high rain event. It would count water sheet flowing from one private property to the next private property. The thing that folks can't do is impound water and then direct water onto an adjacent property. So if we had a big retention pond and said, forget it, we don't want this water, let it loose and it caused some issue downstream, that's a different situation. But yeah, so when it comes to water management, there's a lot at play there. What we're seeing trend-wise with weather is we're seeing in the winter more intense rainfall, higher amounts of rainfall. Some of that is about warmer temperatures and just the atmosphere being able to hold more water. But we're seeing that up and down the West Coast, and Oregon's no exception to that. So yeah, we kind of take these as they come, at least to some extent, because when the water comes, oftentimes there isn't a lot to stop it necessarily. All right, could we go to the next slide? All right, tree management, that was another topic that was requested here. So trees, very, very important to the district. This shows up in a lot of our guiding documents. As the Nature and Trails Supervisor, the Nature and Trails Group, we are here because we love trees. It's a hard time to be a tree lover. Trees are, many species of trees, I should say, are in varying levels of decline. Some of that has to do with drought conditions in the summer. Some of it has to do with infestations of insects, such as some of y'all might have heard about emerald ash borer. And there are, needless to say, there are a lot of challenges facing trees and tree management. Now, for us, managing trees, native forest stands in so many different sites. We have a lot of sites with property lines, with homes, businesses, etc. This is a big focus for us moving forward to do what we can to ensure that the tree canopy is present, that it's healthy, and that we're able to respond to hazards as quickly as possible. So yeah, that covers a lot of our goals there. In natural areas, we definitely want native trees because there's a lot of native trees that are in decline, species like Western red cedar, the threat to Oregon ash trees through emerald ash borer. Douglas fir, the state tree, is also a tree that is struggling right now. You see it in neighborhoods. You see it everywhere. If you go on Google Maps, you could look at an aerial of a forest and you see a lot more gray dots. And those are large, generally Doug fir trees that are standing dead. A standing dead tree is oftentimes a good thing. If it's in a natural area, it's great habitat. But again, in an urban environment, a lot more complicated than that. So our goals are native habitat, canopy cover, and also safety, of course. So I'm covering everything ahead of time. Current challenges, those are a lot of our current challenges with trees and management of natural areas. I do want to say though that we are up to the task. We are preparing for all of these eventualities, and I feel like we're keeping up decently well. The photo on the right, that is a person there in the middle of all those trees. So that was from the windstorm about 1.5 years ago that I'm sure everybody here is familiar with. Hit this area quite hard. And we had a number of sites where there was a large amount of tree damage. And that was, again, the combination of ice weighting down the trees, wind, but also the trees are weaker now from the cycles of drought, and you can see it in the needles of trees. You can see it in the amount of foliage that's in trees right now, that they're not as robust as they once were, so they're a little bit more susceptible to damage from windstorms and other events like that. So yeah, a lot that we're managing there, but we're working regionally to figure out how to best do this, how to best manage it all, what species are going to do well here in the medium to long term. So all stuff that we are working on diligently. And then I think the next slide, there might be one more. Oh yeah, okay, so the last question was just about relation with THRP, how to best get in contact, how to participate, etc. So I have the photo on the left shows some volunteers. Volunteering is always something that we love our volunteers. We encourage folks to reach out and see what you can do. We depend a lot on volunteers, and they're a big part of our organization, both in actuality and spiritually. So we love our volunteers. And then I have a photo of the website here. This is the Contact Us form. It's on the bottom of, well, I think it's in a couple places on the webpage. I want to say it's on top. I believe there's a Contact Us tab. I think on the bottom there's another link as well. But this is a really good way to get in touch. This gets circulated between folks who divide them up and kind of divvy up who gets what question, or who the question should go to. Other ways to get in contact with us are through the, if you're more of a phone person, you can call us on the phone. I believe you will get a real person at the admin office if you call just the main line, and they essentially do the same thing. They'll listen to your concern and get you to the right spot. And we always do our best to get back in touch with folks as soon as possible. So that's probably 99% of questions, concerns, etc. that come up. Yes.
How are you identified within the websites who get right to that?
So I believe that there's 6 links on the top that are all color coded. I want to say that the one in brown is connect, and I believe that page, it might take you directly to this page. There might be one more step in between, but it's right in there somewhere.
Is there a title?
Oh, to this page?
I go to.
Oh, I do have business cards, so you can actually contact my desk phone directly. And I'll leave those over on the table there.
Okay.
But yeah, the way that this works is you're putting more of a general question. I think there are categories that you can choose, and sometimes one might choose the right category, sometimes it's not, but either way, it'll end up getting to the right place. Yes.
So
Sorry.
can you talk a little bit about the volunteer advisory groups that the Park District has? And if you have a particular interest in trails and open space or natural areas, is there a advisory group that is specifically formed to address those issues?
There is, yeah. So the Nature and Trails Advisory Committee, it's one of, I think, 3 or 4 advisory committees. 3. Yeah. So it's one of the advisory committees, and and they meet monthly, and I believe there is an application process for that. I really, every fall, great. And I really should know this because I am in charge of the Nature and Trails Advisory Committee starting in July. So I was able to go to their joint advisory committee meeting between all the advisory committees. And yeah, so this group, it's very focused on natural resources, its management, and then trails and access.
Do you know if it's really competitive to get on that committee?
So I know there are more applications than there are folks who are chosen to come on to the committee. So in that way, yes, I'm not sure what the numbers are, but yes, it is competitive in that way.
But can anybody attend those, the advisory committee meetings?
Yes.
So.
Yes, absolutely. Yes.
So I have a question about what's going on Lakeville. That strange field. What is that about? And where is that going?
Yeah, so, and you're referring to the former farm field on Laidlaw and Saltzman, or near Laidlaw and Saltzman?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's a whole history of it.
Yeah, so so the Park District acquired that property maybe 5 to 10 years ago. And it was purchased for as a natural area for habitat. And so this past summer, there was a construction project to essentially take what was, so there was a farm pond on kind of one corner of the property. And the restoration project was meant to expand the habitat existing in that farm pond, create some more wetland habitat through the site, and essentially do restoration. I know that it is on the table potentially to have, for there to be some type of development up closer to Laidlaw in the future, but for the most part, it's meant to be for wildlife habitat, and then potentially down the road for some form of access for folks.
So there was a land use application that needed to be filed for that, and there's a copy of it on the CPO shelf at the Bethany Library. So if you're really interested in the details, that application has everything in it.
Yeah.
Well, I heard that there was going to be access to the public because for a bunch of technical reasons. So point being is that how do you engage? How does Joe Public engage with a project like that? You know, what input, what interest can be garnered from that rather than there's a build. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
There's supposed to be a trail that goes in the planning. There's supposed to be a trail along Bronson Creek.
There is a hypothetical Bronson. Well, I mean, they're all hypothetical in the trails plan. I think what happened many moons ago was planners looked at properties, they looked at creeks, and they said, oh, there's a stretch of green and we can, maybe a trail can go there. So I think the feasibility of it, that's cost, impact, et cetera, that's the question mark.
Well, and then there's always the beavers that built the dam that flood the trails.
That is true. That is true. But so Bronson Creek goes through that site. It's pretty high up in that watershed. And one thing that's pretty unique about Bronson Creek is that basically from that site to Highway 26 has a really wide floodplain, has really good access to its floodplain, and a lot of the homes that were built adjacent, there's a lot of vertical distance between the creek and those homes, so the beaver can basically do what they want to do in those sites, and it's not really, it's never been an issue. But to your question about kind of participating in that process, so that particular site, I'm not sure if there was ever anything like a master plan or any sort of process like that is a little bit more public. I'd say indirectly through something like the Nature and Trails Advisory Committee. That's probably my best answer, at least right now. And I know that's not a great answer, but that's, yeah, for all the projects that happen, it's, there's a little bit of picking and choosing in terms of like, okay, where are we going to really reach out to the public and figure out how this all works. And part of it is that the restoration of the site, it had to do with questions of hydrology, questions for engineers. And I think ultimately when there's more potential for more like infrastructure for humans, for the public to use, that's when we'd ask more questions. Where when it came just to restoration, that was more a question for the engineers, because it was basically determined through its purchase that it was going to be for habitat.
Sure, the point is that it becomes an avenue for THP.
Sure.
I don't think people really understand what it does necessarily.
Yeah.
The map shows, and the map is public right now, and it's full of stuff.
Sure.
And I don't think we need, how many places in the country compared to what you guys do?
None.
Well, there you go. So should be saying something.
I don't disagree. Yeah, I don't disagree. I think selling our message, selling our vision is really important. I think we could definitely do that better. That site's a little bit tricky because it's on the side of a busy road without a sidewalk. And then it cuts down a street where there's not really a good view of it. So kind of giving that message on a site, that's a thing that we thought about a fair amount.
Yes.
Big. It's a sign.
Yeah, you have.
Well,
You have a big one in Bethany Creek Falls, like, it's actually kind of wearing down.
Yeah, that might have been a development sign, like a county development sign, but in terms of like, okay, here's what this is, here's what it's intended to be. It's slightly tricky there just because there's not much space for people to see it. It's a busy road where people are driving pretty fast and
In a way,
it's hard to sell a message.
isn't it a land bank site that as time goes by, there is potential for more development? So if the trail goes in, it would help introduce more the public more to the site. And the realignment of Salzman Road is actually supposed to bisect that property as well.
That's true.
So,
Yeah.
I think in some ways, the park district isn't gonna want to invest a lot of money in making improvements until the county actually figures out what to do with Salzman Road.
That's a great point.
Bonnie Slope West is collecting system development charges for the park district. Is any of that money gonna be spent on natural areas, or is it, do you know if the plans are to develop the trail system within Bonnie Slope West? There's also a land-based site that's the corner, what is that, the southeast corner of Salzman and Laidlaw, that I've heard is potentially the parkland for Bonnie Slope West.
Yeah, so that
And it's tricky too, because it's actually got a lot of natural habitat.
it does. Yeah, so that's a site. So this is you're correct, Mary. This is a site that's on the southeast corner of that intersection of Saltzman and Laidlaw. It's referred to as Northeast Park because it was purchased as a future park. There are a lot of mature trees on the site. There used to be 2 houses on the site. And those houses were removed just because they were in disrepair. And in terms of kind of land banking to some extent, I think that you could characterize that site as more of that for sure.
You don't know whether that's going to be actually developed as a park with fields, or whether it's going to be more a natural area.
Yeah, so the details of what that looks like, I would be the wrong person to ask, but also I think there's some unknowns there in terms of exactly what it looks like, but the intention was to purchase it as a future park.
In this amazing budget document, which is
Yes.
completely overwhelming, I acknowledge. In the system development charge chapter, page 13, in the 28-29, because we plan out for the next 5 years.
Yeah.
It has new neighborhood park development, concept planning for Northwest Saltzman Road and Laidlaw. We put in $500,000, put $500,000 for 28-29. So anyways, it's on our radar.
So when it gets on your radar, to answer this gentleman's question, if it's on your radar, how does the public engage with that?
So we have one of the most thoughtful outreach systems, and it keeps improving. So Recuerdo Park in downtown Beaverton highlights what we now do, which is so much more intentional, so much more thoughtful in our outreach. So because it's 2025, I don't think there's a lot of outreach for this happening now, but I would imagine if this stays on schedule, that to see concept planning, that would happen with community.
And that is part of our CPO, so.
Right, so your CPO will tell.
Well, and the question is will you reach out to the CPO, or is that something that you'll?
That was a question that I had to, like, I think it's great to hear about all the activities that happen, but I think also upcoming projects and the regular pieces that we're having these meetings. Exactly, and then also board meetings and how to engage and what's the topics are.
I think especially because when we've got so much infilling now going on in development, that may be, building may be occurring in parcels that may not be as easily buildable. And if you're doing that near a natural area, coordinating with the park and rec, and that could be really beneficial and on the front end. So
I can speak to the community engagement piece. So at a very high level on our website, under the parks and trails section, there's a tab there that says Parks in Progress. And so once we're ready to start the concept planning, visioning phase of the park, that project will get added to that list. And you'll have the project manager for the project details on there. Any documentation we have publicly available is usually added to that list. The initial vision for the project. And then as we get to the concept planning and design phase, we reach out to the CPOs and neighborhood associations in the areas and also partners to invite them to events to comment and engage with the project. And then we'll also, if there's a project like that happening today, that will also bring up in the updates.
So sometimes you have neighborhood meetings, so there's a park that's being developed in North Benton. North Benton definitely had multiple outreaches with the neighborhood meetings. I don't recall any with Bales Pond, the natural area of Lake Bluff. And, there was land use application, but I think because of it being a park being developed, there wasn't a requirement for a neighborhood meeting. But I think the question there is why not have it? Why not have a neighborhood meeting? Because, I feel a lot of questions about, what's happening down there. And I happen to know that I think there's a lot of people that in fact, my son drove by and he was like, somebody needs to build a park district, but that isn't how you plant trees. Because it really looks, it looks like a moonscape.
Bales Pond.
Yeah, that's what that area, the neighborhood referred to it as Bales Pond, because the pond that the farm pond. And it was property that was owned by the Bales family. Actually, it was Finley property.
Yeah.
Because the Bales Thriftway, everybody referred to it as Bales Pond, so.
And so can individuals just ask for perhaps topics to come up to the volunteer advisory group at times if there's, so what I'm thinking is, so there are some changes are coming to my neighborhood, primarily because of infilling of some land with middle housing. And the impacts, so thinking about trees coming down, what kind of trees to plant. It seems like you guys have a lot of really good, solid information about what makes sense to put someplace and what doesn't make sense. Can neighborhoods coordinate with with the THPRD to say, look, we know this is coming in and we'd love to see or a healthy environment here, as opposed to somebody planting trees that you know are not gonna survive.
And you're talking about on Park District land or just like in the general area?
No, just in the general area. I mean,
Yeah.
kind of like just to make sure that there's continuity
Sure.
of what's going on in the neighborhood and that we are able to access this great knowledge base that you all have.
So, so one consideration around development is that required plantings often come through Clean Water Services, who they have their own design and construction standards that are often
Different?
well, I can't speak to every situation, but if there's an area to be restored, if it's natural habitat, they're going off of their design and construction standards, which are, you know, promoting native vegetation and doing a lot of the same things that we would be saying. So I think in some ways there's kind of a built-in process to a lot of development. I can't speak to, you know, landscaping or other aspects of planting that might happen in a development. But I know for if there's an area to be restored based on the development of a tax lot, that's my understanding. It's the same, we go through the same permitting process that somebody from the public will.
And if just a neighbor who lives in within the boundaries of Hills Park Rec wanted to access and figure out what kind of planting should I put in here? I can see there's beavers down there and I can see there's beavers up here. So what do you all recommend? Is that something that you would be comfortable fielding, you know, not a contract that would say definitely do this, but just general recommendation?
Yeah, so we definitely get asked questions by the public, not necessarily about the park sites of the natural areas, but adjacent areas as well. And we're always happy to talk to folks about you know, questions or concerns, et cetera, even if it's not on the Park District property.
Wait, I think the question and answer on that name is not up.
Or chats.
Is that in the chat?
Q&A.
Yeah, I thought we weren't using chat.
No, it's Q&A, it's just questions. Are they?
Oh,
Should I address these? Well, it's easy for me to address because I'm not familiar with these locations, unfortunately.
okay.
Oh, Marion Street, that's weird. Dead end. Street.
Well, if there's some questions that. Are there questions that they can answer right now? No, right?
Yeah, I'm not familiar with those streets. It sounds like they're in North Bethany, somebody said.
Yeah, it's North Bethany.
Okay.
Dead end street right now.
Okay.
There's a big open.
Yeah, and if it's a
Part of
developed.
North Bethany, alternate replacement.
Yeah.
But can't be developed right now.
I see. Yeah, and that would for the person asking the question, that would be a good question to submit on that forum online, because it will go to a person who knows that location and also knows about the development of what I'm assuming is like an active use park with a playground, et cetera.
Well, you have to play a really interesting dance with Clean Water Services, because if you have a natural area that has a creek, Clean Water Services really has a lot of say about what you can and can't do. Am I correct there?
Yes, definitely when it comes to development, same thing as on private property, they have jurisdiction over developments in the vicinity of either a wetland or a creek or the buffer around the creek essentially.
But even putting a trail in next to a wetland or the buffer. A lot of times the trail does go in the buffer, but it's kind of a.
There's mitigation oftentimes that's
yeah.
required to make up for the impacts to either the buffer or the wetland or whatever is
A
being
lot of times
looked
it's,
at.
the buffer is all that's left for you to put a trail.
Depending on the site, that can be true, yeah, definitely.
I wanted to loop back around to my question around like board participation. So it sounds like there's a committee, right? Like some sort of like sustainability committee.
The Nature and Trails Advisory Committee,
Yeah.
maybe? Yeah.
And then when we were on the call with your colleague, Bruce, yes. Bruce also mentioned the board meetings as well. I was looking into it from April one, but I looked at it. Can you share a little bit more about like community participation for like if agendas are set before time, how the community, like how the community participates in any of that information?
Yeah, so we have monthly board meetings. They are at TVWD on 170th. They're typically from about 5:30 to 8:30, 9:30. The president sets the agenda with the general manager. It is announced as a legal requirement. It's announced to press. It's a little word going in Beaverton Valley Times. And I'm not entirely sure who else is on that listserv, but that agenda for the board meeting goes out a few days before the board meeting. We could, as far as I know, we could easily add CPO stuff.
I think CPO7 is on that list.
Great.
I should forward that on you.
You did.
Okay.
I would actually say we don't have the robust kind of community involvement that I would like to see. We mostly hear from people when they're upset. Kind of typical of local government, I suppose. But I think that's for a lot of reasons. One, our district is 270,000 people. Just like it was pointed out, like a lot of people don't know what we do, and we are actively trying to make sure everyone knows what we do. But as someone who's knocked a lot of doors in this district, most people have like kind of a very direct relationship with like, oh, that's where I swim, and that's my relationship with the district. Like for me, when I started, it was all about the nature parks because that's where I went walking. But over time, I've built other distinct relationships with the district and learned more about what it's done. I mean, you even said something, I was like, I had no idea we were doing that. I can't even keep up. And so there are absolutely ways to engage, and I'm happy to provide more opportunities, but yeah, hope I'm answering the question.
Yeah, no, I think that's great. I mean, I definitely want to attend one. I also, you're right, I think people show up when they're angry, and I think that there's community. I mean, I live right next to. Yeah, right. Okay, yeah. And there's always people there, so I don't know, it could be interesting to have, like this, thank you for doing this, but like this presentation on like what you all do and how the community just like, a lot of people aren't super familiar with the CPO program. We have the same issue where it's like when people are mad, they come. But like, and then you all have a bunch of community events. I wonder if there's like more of an educational event that's promoted at like the big centers, like the one that I live in, where like a similar presentation like this could be done. I don't know, I haven't seen one like that, but that could be interesting. I have seen flyers on a volunteer to volunteer in like a
I have to go, but the volunteer thing, can you just clarify? There's many options, right? I mean, many single day cleanup, trials, all of those.
Board service.
Yeah, there's a lot of great information on the website, and I believe that I believe that one of those links up there connects you to the volunteer page, and it talks about all of those opportunities. Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
I will take a look.
All right, thank you.
Any additional questions? This has been, I think, very, very helpful, clarifying, and we've got some new names. Do you have the card?
Yep.
And if you don't mind, I'll share your information. Fantastic. That'd be great.
And I'll leave the rest of them up here if anybody wants to.
Any other questions? Comments? All right, great. Thank you again. This is a very, very helpful. I have some additional, I'll just email you.
Okay.
What? No. No, we have some more business, so.
Yeah, we're right on schedule.
Yeah, nice try.
Yeah.
Nice to meet you. Okay. Mary, would you like to talk about the letter?
I'm not a weekend. I'll connect with you like. And when she was around.
The other topics tonight are like. Yeah.
One of them is to do with West Side Trail. So we just have letters. That
Oh, wow.
that we need to get. Thank you for doing that.
We just can't articulate it all. Yeah. Much as we'd like to. Okay. All right. Thank you so much. Are we back?
Oh, it's more for you guys, right?
Yeah, well, it's you're absolutely welcome to stay.
Oh,
We just need to finish a little bit.
another vote?
And
Yeah, but actually you may not be able to vote. You don't live in our.
I don't.
do you live in CPO7?
No, I actually live in a low, so when.
Well, I live in a low.
So I know that.
So, but I live in a low, but I'm in CPO7.
Oh.
So, cause it's so weird, but.
Thank you. Yeah, no, I live in a low, but I grew up in Hillsborough, so
We don't hold it against. All right. Could we? Staff?
Oh,
Thank you. I appreciate that. Excellent. Okay, so next order of business is, we have two letters, that we have prepared and we would like to, forward these to Metro. We are in support of, well, first I will say, the letters were published on the Facebook website, our Facebook page. And we hope you had a chance to look at them. Everybody has a copy of the letter who would be voting, I think.
Yes, so, Metro. Is it an annual basis, every other year, whatever, they have federal funding. Through a program that they call the Regional Flexible Funding. And they had jurisdictions all volunteer or nominate projects. And so at this point, they need to, they're looking to receive input so they can decide which projects can be funded, because there are too many projects for everything to be funded. So we've identified the two projects that are located within our CPO. One is the bridge crossing over Highway 26 on the West Side Trail. And the funding that they're looking for is just planning. It does not include construction. The second project is to relieve the congestion that's created by the Max line at 185th at the Willow Creek Station. And baseline 185th, that signal is really controlled by the trains that go by, and since the red line is now going to Hillsborough, they're ending up with way too many trains, and it just totally clogs the intersection. So City of Hillsborough has requested funding to better coordinate the signals with the train signals. And so I don't know if that actually means they would be stopping trains, but I think it will help better fund that. So we are looking for a motion to approve both of these letters. So we can send them into Metro, and we're trying to get the letter in by Thursday because
Oh, was it Thursday? I thought it was the.
well, JPAC, the committee at Metro that is looking, their meeting is on Thursday, and that's when they want public comment.
Okay, great.
So that's what we're hoping, and actually, I'll just make the motion. I move that we submit these letters to Metro and, get them off our list.
I second.
Excellent. Any conversation about the letters? Any questions?
Do we have anybody online?
Is there anyone online who has a question? About the 2 letters to Metro?
I think Mark, or
Did Mark ever take his hand down?
So what's the plan for when they fit the baseline?
We're talking about the voting on the letters that we're sending to encourage Metro to help cover the cost of some improvements at the 185th and Baseline Road.
Is for what solution?
Well, at the March meeting, and I think you were there were some speakers who talked about different things that can be done to improve that intersection. And they were talking about the funding that they needed. And part of that is it's possible that they would be able to access that through Metro. And so we have a letter specifically, we would like to encourage Metro to give them that funding so they can move forward with the improvement.
We need about a light rail bridges that they should have done it in 1997 before Max went to Hillsborough.
Okay, well, and it sounds like you definitely have an opinion about that. So what we have to now is the letter. We have to vote on these independently, or can we?
Or I think we can vote on them together.
Okay. So are we comfortable?
Well,
additional questions or?
I think one of the things we need to establish with Mark for him to vote is, does he live within our CPO boundaries?
Mark, are you within CPO7?
Oh yeah, CPO7.
He was, I remember.
Yeah, well, I don't know whether it was from six or 7, so.
Yes, okay.
67. So what's the cover with the cops?
Are there we'll see if anyone else has a question or comment.
Of Oregon Department of Transportation?
Okay, I don't see anything else coming in, so, all right, so we have a motion on, and it's been seconded. So. Call for the question?
Call for the question.
Okay, we have,
so besides submitting these as part of CPO7,
You can do
there's
it online.
there's like more like,
Yeah, there's an online open house.
okay, so neighbors can submit their own letters, or there's a form we can submit.
I think I haven't actually done I haven't done the open house. Like CAD, but I'm assuming at that point you indicate your preference.
that's for Metro.
Yeah. And I don't, is the link in our agenda? I don't know if it is or not. You can see it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's on, there's a link the Oregon Metro Government Public Projects.
Yeah.
And I did go on there and I did, include personal public comment. So it's very easy to access. So, okay, all right.
Okay.
Can we wait 1 second? Excuse me, I will.
Any plans for hiking trails? You said pedestrian bridge on Highway 26. Stop Cornelius Pass.
Can you repeat the question, Mark?
Where is the pedestrian bridge is gonna be built over 26?
Where they're gonna. Oh, it's between Murray Boulevard and where Cornell crosses Highway 26. So very close to where, do you know where, Columbia Sportswear is?
You met by Home Depot and the K6 News.
Yes, yes. I've been on the door.
Yeah,
Is that access to Cornell Road?
it's where, the Caroline corridor comes through there. Okay, so
All
can we
right.
take a vote?
I think so. We have membership return, so let us take a vote. All in favor of signing and sending these 2 letters, or are we just doing the one about the 100?
No, this.
We'll do the both.
Both
We
letters.
move
All
both
right,
in at the same
both
time.
letters to Metro in support of this, at the, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Any abstain? All right, so I'll count myself as a vote. I count 5. You're not, all right. So I have recorded 5 approved. So the motion has,
Online.
the motion passed, so we'll go ahead and send, get permission to go ahead and complete these, change them from draft. If you need an actual signature on it, you
I
can.
probably need, want me just to sign your name? With the attorney in the room, let me do that.
You can email it to me. I
Okay,
can sign it
I'll do
and
that.
then
I'll do
email
that.
it back.
Here, and then scan it.
Well, no, water.
No, you.
Okay, yeah, so you're not making any changes to these, yeah, so that's great.
It's ready to go.
Thank you for preparing these, Mary. I think they're good, and I'm very enthusiastic, not only about the 185th, because I think it's really important that something happened with that, but, the West Side Trail, I think that would be brilliant for.
Yeah, if you can give your name to, yeah, just know.
It's a beautiful weekend, yeah. And when did you say the cutoff is, you know, when?
The 30th.
30th, and that's for accepting, input online.
Yeah, that's for the online open house.
Okay, good. Excellent, thank you. Any?
Bradley is still on.
Yeah, we talked to him.
Yes, we have.
So what's the timeline for Highway 26 pedestrian bridge?
They're just doing the planning piece of it. There's no actual dollars for construction.
Or a light rail bridge on 185th at baseline?
Either one, neither one.
Well, we hope we'll see that happen.
So hope it happens.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you, Mark.
Okay, so any additional CPOs?
My pleasure.
Any information about the local?
Oh.
Oh, we didn't do open forum, bring your
Okay,
issues
so
and ask
the
your questions.
one thing I did want to announce was the, Repeat is doing a,
Recycling.
recycling the computer equipment, or they say anything that plugs in.
Yeah.
And so I have dates for that if anybody's interested.
Where is it?
There are two events, I think it's Saturday and Sunday at, Washington Square by Sears and then, at the Tech, location. I have it posted on Facebook.
Do they list those on the Washington County, waste management? Because they used to list
I don't know,
events coming up.
you know, where I saw was the community connections that OEICE does.
I don't know if they do.
So I was looking for some recycling, locations at one point and there's a lot of information. I didn't find what I needed, but.
So April 24th from 11 to 2 at the First Tech Credit Union. Yeah, Dawson Creek. In Hillsborough.
That's their main.
And then April 25th and 26th from noon to 4 p.m. at Washington Square Mall. You can go onto their free geek website and you can look at my posting on Facebook and it takes you to
Like and share.
Excellent.
And like and share.
yeah.
Helps them out.
Okay, excellent.
Would you have a THBRD hearing on public thing on Thursday, right, for the North Bethany?
Oh.
Yeah, for the North Bethany Park.
So is anyone interested in joining a THRP committee? Thought
I
about
mean,
it?
I only heard of one. Are there more?
Yeah,
I
she
think
said-
there's a lot of advisory committees. And I think just attending the meetings is,
You know,
would be
I
fun.
think, Kevin McDonald, who's past chair of CPO7, was a part of, I think, the Trails and Natural Areas committee, and he came forward with just really valuable information, but the relationships that he built with staff made it really
Mhm.
beneficial.
Did we do a Zoom meeting?
Oh,
Here.
So if there's somebody from your neighborhood. Cause I feel like you're really maxed out.
You never know if it's convenient to do. I mean, I
Yeah.
assume you can attend on Zoom, that you don't have to be there in person.
I did submit another application. So,
Washington County.
yes,
Which one?
yes, Baker.
Yes.
I haven't heard anything.
Oh.
I would like to invite, the new diversity officer at Washington County.
Is that Alicia?
Is that? Alicia Sojourner?
Sojourner?
Did I miss? She didn't come, right?
She was at CCI,
So,
so, no, you've not had her.
yeah, that would be.
Does she have that sort of capacity that she would be? You know, if you can make it to the volunteer appreciation.
Oh, yes, the volunteer appreciation happening, that's.
You better about volunteer appreciation.
You shared it with me, I think, yeah, I mean, that's a great idea, I just feel like
She'll be there.
CCI and CPO leadership, so it's not the entire CPO community. And, I think being available, especially a lot of the questions around equity.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So, I can send you a message. You're really that message, but I can send a message. And then, I was also curious to, hear that, they had removed the deeper income. What was interesting to me is, how did you all hear about it? Because, there have been many neighbors who have been emailing THRP about it, and no one back around, but I did notice that the flooding was no longer happening at the rate that it was previously.
And have you, and this is side note, but it looks like part of the creek that goes down through the area just looks decimated. there's all these dead
Well,
trees.
From the trees have been cut down by the beavers.
It's all beaver stuff,
Yeah,
and
it's all
I
beaver.
just like,
Almost all of the trees on Pioneer, between Pioneer and Blaze are gone or gonna be soon. Some of the really big ones, and if you walk into the park, they've taken down trees that are this big around.
and by they, the beavers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're,
They were clearly chewed off, not,
wow,
there were no saws taken to these, some of them. The park folks, cut because the beaver was about to cut through and they didn't know which way it was gonna go. And there were power lines and probably, water lines, adjacent athletic fields. So, but Greg, I talked to him for a minute as he was on his way out. He appeared not to be aware that anything happened about the dams on South Willow Creek through the interpreting center, nor about the trees that had come.
So what the drainage channel he was talking about, is that Willow Creek was actually channelized?
Yes. Yeah, it was where our house is.
Yeah.
It used to be, annual flooding, be about 2 feet deep where the ground was, maybe 3 feet. The guy that lived up across from where Tanya lived, has been there since the 50s, and he just died
couple of
at 22, 21, anyway, during COVID.
Yeah.
And, but I got to know him, I mean, he had great stories about what life was like there with the forest before all the houses, but also, he kept the boat. He couldn't get across what is now Pioneer Avenue with his
The water was that,
with his
that deep.
pickup.
Oh.
Yeah, I mean, we're not talking about.
Yeah, yeah.
It was knee deep to waist deep for a month or 2 or 3 every winter, and the solution to that was to fill it all in.
Sarah, North Bethany, any beaver issues?
Oh,
out there?
ton,
Okay.
ton.
Okay.
Which I almost asked him about, because it was rumored that the one that was out 2 or 3 years ago, it was rumored that they removed it. But I saw it myself, but I only ever saw one, but now there's gotta be multiple. right?
Beavers.
Yeah.
The feds made it illegal to interfere.
yeah, but that doesn't.
This is the thing, it's like, you wanna,
You can take out the dam, but you can't mess with.
Right, but the groups, right.
if we think about like balancing kind of like ecosystems, part of it would be to try to replant some of the trees, right?
But if you just replant the same trees, they'll just cut them down.
Well, it'd be 40 or 50 years.
Related to, Bethany Creek Falls development, that was just wasteland but it was just these weird logs along it when I first moved in. And now it's lush and
Yeah.
beautiful and you can't, you can't see through it.
What I was told during the planning for that was that, the creek was actually very channelized, and it really was nothing more than, just a ditch. And I think it's interesting how much it's in that.
Well, and that was the whole thing with the water. The water is actually coming back, I guess. So, and
Yeah.
it's.
So I think, the rest of the information on the back of here, our meeting is just reminders about steering committee meeting. And, we could, in fact, move on and let Veronica go home.
Mark just has their hand up, so they've got their hand up. Oh, really?
Yeah.
I thought, you put it down, and then you put it back up.
Yeah, I was say goodnight to my kids.
So, yeah,
Move to adjourn.
all right. Meeting ends officially on time.